How's it going? Oh, Chris Mystery Cleaning, cleaning the file course once again. Currently sat on the prom. Very relaxing. I do like to come down here sometimes and just sort of sit and look at that. It's amazing. But I wanted to do a quick video today. Talk a little bit about the different means of gathering customers. I appreciate that I have already done a video just like this. A couple of years ago, I did a video about how to gather window cleaning customers, and I talked a little bit about what was the best way, in my humble opinion. I won't say that my opinion has changed too much, but I would say that it has certainly evolved, right? So my understanding since that last video of how I should go about gathering window cleaning customers has changed quite a bit. Okay, so I was one of those guys that started the window cleaning business, and I went out and I got 2,500 leaflets from my printers, went out into an area that I thought would get some good returns on, some good jobs would come in from it, and I saturated this area with 2,500 leaflets, and I got fuck all. And from that point, I decided, leaflets don't work, it's a waste of time. You know, I was one of those guys. And it's quite funny though, because I see a lot of people on social media, on the old faceache, on the forums, etc, 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 turn around and say, leaflets don't work, it's a pain in the ass, it's a waste of time. Fine. And then I met someone who's actually become quite a good friend, which is Steve Matthews, who runs Clearview Window Cleaning in Holyhead in Wales. He's a great guy. And if you're watching, Steve, I hope you're keeping well, mate. So Stephen joined the British Army, similar to me, Welsh cavalry, you know. And basically his dad, who was a window cleaner, had the business, had an illness, had to step back from the business. Steve came out of the army and basically took the reins on the family business and has pushed it forward. So fast forward now, nearly a decade on, I think he's got 5 vans, he's got a unit, etc. He is absolutely slaughtering it in Holyhead in Wales. He's doing very, very well, and he's got a lot to be proud of, quite frankly, and I'm chuffed to bits for him. But we had this conversation about leaflets, and I'll be honest with you, I had a bit of an opinion on it, and I sort of said, yeah, leaflets don't really work for us in, you know, solely as a method of gathering customers. So when I say leaflets, when I say, oh, leaflets don't work, what I meant was, in my opinion, right, leafleting alone doesn't work. How wrong I was, right? I had this conversation with Steve, who educated me in the ways of marketing for his window cleaning business. And it's all about scale. Now, again, go back to my situation. I spent I got 2,500 leaflets, and I bomb-burst them over an area, and got nothing back, and I was like, right, it doesn't work. So perhaps I drew my conclusions a little too early, but who can blame me? People like Steve will probably spend £20,000 on leaflets. Might get, I think, and Steve can correct me in the comments if you're watching, mate. I think he was saying that somewhere between 250,000 and 500,000 leaflets. I have heard someone in the Midlands talk about 600,000 leaflets per campaign that they do, but that's not 600,000 homes. That's 150,000 homes 4 times. And I was thinking to myself, well, what's the point? Again, bear in mind my opinion about leafleting. What's the point in leafleting the same customer 4 times? You leaflet them once, and if they don't want it, they don't want it. Fine, that's certainly one way to look at it. However, as I've watched on things like the James Sinclair podcast, there are things like, he mentions things like it requires like 4 touches. that for a customer to see you before they even contemplate giving you a call. So there's 4 points of contact. So for example, they might see an ad, or they might see your vans, or they might hear someone talking about it, or they might see one of the guys operating, cleaning windows in their local area with the logo on the back, and all of a sudden they'll think, actually, I might give them a call. And people will automatically think, oh, it was the last thing that they saw that pushed them. It's not necessarily the case. They've seen that you work in the local area. They've heard about you, other people talking about you. They've seen your leaflet go through their door, etc. So what they sometimes do is they'll probably leaflet the same house, four times. And from 600,000 leaflets, you reckoned you were going to get something like 0.5% will get back in touch with you. And you're thinking to yourself, right, well, 0.5% works out at about 12, give or take 12,000. And let's say half of those customers sign up for one of the services that you offer. That's still 6,000 customers from one campaign, or from them 4 leaflet drops. Okay. If that results, let's say half of that again become regular customers, that's still 3,000 jobs. Well, you've got to argue, well, actually, on that kind of scale, it makes sense. So obviously, Steve, they don't canvass. They don't canvass internally, so they don't have their own guys going out canvassing, and they don't get other people in to canvass for them. They just rely on leaflets. And sure, they do the whole social media thing as well, where they'll post what they're doing, they'll post jobs, they'll post pictures, they'll put posts up about their day-to-day, etc., to sort of push that additional awareness to the local area. But by and large, there's no outreach other than leafleting. So you have to ask the question, right? How is it that it might not work for a one-man band than it will for a big area? And again, it goes back to scale. If you leaflet 2,500 homes once, more often than not, people will come home. They will not even look at what's on their doormat. They will scoop up all their junk mail, and they'll scoop up all their mail, and they'll go, that looks official, that's ads, and bang, and they'll just bin it. Okay. And then you don't contact them again. But, if you're doing the same house 4 times, at some point, it's likely that someone's going to look at it and go, oh, what's this? So it's about scale, isn't it? If you're 2,500 houses once versus 150,000 houses 4 times, you're going to get more, aren't you? Now, there's pros and cons to this, isn't there? I always find if you're a small business, I still maintain canvassing from within, i.e. me or one of my guys going out and canvassing, knocking doors, kissing babies, not literally kissing babies, but you know what I mean, knocking doors, getting your face known, having the customer, sort of face to face. You can answer questions, you can upsell a lot easier. Certainly I can anyway. I'm quite good at that side of it. But if that requires a minimal sort of outlay for expenses, minimal, right? It's fuel, it's diesel, handful of leaflets, and more often than not, just a gift of the gab. Being passionate about what you do, not worrying too much about rejection, fine. Happy days, thanks for coming, no dramas. And I can quite happily, even my 14-year-old daughter, as I've mentioned it in the past, she signed up 9 houses in 1 hour. While I was, in fact, it was 40 minutes. I think it was 40 minutes. She signed up 9 houses. So again, if you have the confidence, the passion, and the gift of the gab, and you're a small one-man band and you don't have enough money for 20,000 leaflets, then sure, it makes sense, doesn't it? There's no sense in going out and spending £20,000 on leaflets if you haven't got it to spend. But again, if you're a massive operation and all you're doing is looking to grow a little bit more, your time is more valuable. You haven't got necessarily the freedom to go off and do that. Steve is a phenomenal business owner, Steve Matthews. He works probably the same as me, about 13, 14 hours, 15 hours a day sometimes, right? So he doesn't necessarily have the time to go out and canvas and go and do the whole face-to-face thing that he did in the early days. You know what I mean? He's leveraging the fact that he has good cash flow to spend a proportion of that cash flow in going out and getting more customers. So he's basically, nice way of saying it, is basically he's throwing money at a problem to sort of solve it. Not everybody has that option, okay? But I still maintain, you know, I look at what Steve does and I think, oh, fair play to you, mate. You know, happy days. You know, if you have enough money to get £20,000, if you spend £20,000 on leaflets, etc., then fair play. You know, you're going to get the numbers, you know, because the numbers are in your favour. But if, like me, you started with nothing, you start from scratch, you literally haven't got a pot to piss in, and you know you've got enough money for tools, and not really that much money for advertising, then very sadly you're going to have to go out and do that yourself in the early days. Someone once told me, it was a bodybuilder that told me this, starting a business is a little bit like doing a truck pull. And I was a bit like, right, but think about it. When you're pulling it, when you do a truck pull, initially that truck doesn't even move, and you're putting all that effort in, and nothing is happening, nothing's moving. And then it moves an inch, then it moves 3 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches. All of a sudden the truck's moving, and now it's starting to move under its own inertia. So long as you keep moving, the truck will keep moving. Yeah. So I was a bit like, yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. When you look at things like leaflet campaigns and stuff like that, it's much the same thing, isn't it? The business is already moving. All you're doing is keeping it moving by topping up with an additional, say, 3,000 jobs. Per campaign, etc. You might run 1 or 2 campaigns a year, sort of thing. So, you know, it's certainly something to think about. I'm not saying that the same thing that works for Steve is not necessarily going to work for me. I haven't got £20,000 to sling at a load of leaflets and stuff like that, not yet. But I think when we get to the same sort of size as what Steve's doing, then it makes sense to sort of look at what's working for him and decide whether or not it's worth implementing. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, my opinion has shifted somewhat where it comes to leafleting for window cleaning businesses. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the content that I put out. If you do, please like, share, subscribe, etc., and leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that leaflet campaigns are for the big boys? Do you think they work? Are you still, in spite of seeing this video, an absolute cynic where it comes to leaflet campaigns? Let me know. Catch you in the next video. Keep on keeping on.